Welcome back to the Bob Davis Podcast YouTube channel. This is the channel where I let people know that I've posted a new podcast. That's what the channel is for. I stand in front of the camera old school and just talk and give you a little additional content because I produce different content for all the different platforms that I'm on. And the audio podcast is what I have been known for, and it's what I've done all my life is audio stuff. So audio is my first love, and I started doing the YouTube stuff because I appeared in a Peter Santinello video, and then he told me you better start putting some videos up because you're going to get some action on your channel. So that's the genesis of the YouTube channel, and we're getting some subscribers. I had done some videos back 9-10 years ago as I traveled, and I kind of just lost interest in doing YouTube. This time I'm having more fun doing YouTube videos. So I appreciate all the likes and shares and subscriptions, both at iTunes for the audio podcast as well as YouTube. And then if you use Spotify, you can listen on Spotify, and you can listen on Google Podcasts, pretty much wherever you get your podcasts. I am in Navarre Beach, Florida. This is not a background. That is actually the sort of little bay here. And the podcast that I did was podcast 1131. And it was basically about the whole saga of losing an alternator and having to get that dealt with, and how different the experience was from the one I lost in 2019. And this time I replaced 2 alternators on this vehicle, which I'm standing in front of. That is almost 25 years old, and this is now the second round of alternator replacements. But I was on the side of the road pretty quickly because I noticed that the voltage meter was not staying at 14.4, which is what these alternators are supposed to produce in a 7.3 diesel vehicle. This is an E450. Back in the day, this was actually a medium-sized truck, believe it or not, and it was essentially created as a medium truck. Today, I guess you'd call it a light truck, but this is an old ambulance. It's still an old ambulance. You guys have seen the inside if you've been watching the YouTube channels. If you're new, thanks for subscribing. Blah 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 blah. So usually what I do is old school. I just stand in front of the camera and I tell you what kind of content I've done. So when I am traveling, it's catch as catch can as far as producing content. I don't really have a production schedule where, the idea is I do a podcast and then, boom, do a video right away. And just by the nature of being traveling around, it's hard to get those things together. So I did the podcast a couple days ago, put it up yesterday, and now I'm finally getting around here a couple days or a day after doing a video. And it's under rather difficult conditions because it's very busy down here. It is spring break. People are starting to load in. This is a very busy place, Florida, this time of the year. My objective is Saratoga. No, my objective, is Sarasota. And my niece is getting married over in Sarasota, so I'm heading over there, and I should be there on time. I've been really working, especially after the travel delay with the mechanical, to make sure that I stay ahead of schedule, and I'm doing very well. This has been an epic road trip. I left Quartzsite on the 26th of March. No, the 26th of February. And now it is something like the 12th of March. So it's working out like I thought it was going to work out, but it's been quite a lot. It's something like 2,500 miles from Arizona, and so I came through Arizona along the border, so the southernmost eastern highway there. I forget which one it is. And then New Mexico, as far along the border as I could get, and then I popped up to White Sands, where I did a video, and then I came down through Alamogordo and then over on, I think, 82, which was really an incredible experience. coming out through those mountains. And I have a good friend who is also working with me on the website, and she was really nervous. We met in I think Alamogordo to have breakfast, because we had said we were going to do that, and she was really anxious about going over on 82 at Alamogordo in New Mexico to sort of get over the mountains. Because my plan was to go over 82 and then get on the southernmost highway in Texas and then go across all the way to Corpus Christi without having to go out and down. And that's what I did. It was brilliant navigation. But I want to tell you, she thought that there were 16% grades, and if there were, I've never seen 16% grades like that. That was a very easy climb, and then once we got up, we came back down, and then I went all the way through West Texas, which is incredible, and ended up at Corpus Christi with this mechanical. You know, the takeaway from the whole thing coming through West Texas is when you, and I've said this before and it's true, when you travel on the back roads in this country, the country that you read about and see in the media, the country that people talk about in the media, is not what you see on the back roads. When you travel on the interstates, it's really, I wouldn't even call it traveling. It's kind of weird. It's like sitting in your living room while you pass through and you're going 75, 80, and you're worried about somebody coming up on your left side. You can't see them to change lanes, and you stop at truck stops, and it's just not, it's not a great experience. And traveling on the back roads is a different America. And I've often said this, and I think it's one of the lessons of travel, and I'm not sure what I'll entitle this particular video, but I am amazed at the potential that this country has. You driving through it's amazing to me to see the amount of capital investment that's required to get oil out of the ground. The piping, these industrial yards where they keep all the equipment, and just mile after mile after mile of ranches, so cattle and oil being pumped out of the ground in various places, pump down stations where they get the salt water, or they use salt water to treat the oil in some kind of process which I am unfamiliar with. It's an amazing industry, not to mention the ranchers and the wind power and the other things going on in Texas, which is an amazing place that when you listen to the news, you won't understand until you get on the back roads and you travel those back roads and you go through those towns, as I have done, crisscrossed many times. I had the experience several times this trip of driving through a town and feeling odd, like this looks weird, it looks familiar, and then finding out that, yeah, I've been through here. I don't know when. It's a great experience. And so this entire trip has been on the back roads, except for a couple of short stints on interstates that you kind of just have to do through various parts of Texas or New Mexico in order to get set on the roads that you need to get set on. I think I'm talking primarily about New Mexico, coming over those mountains. In order to get down to that southernmost road, you kind of gotta jump on the interstate shortly, or actually it must be the one from somewhere around Portal. You get on the 10 to get to Las Cruces, and then I had to take the 10 to get to Alamogordo. Then I was good. So backroads travel really is a learning experience. You get to really see the country. So I can't recommend it enough. I know some nomads do interstates. I don't understand why you would do that. Yeah, they're safer, I guess. I don't know. I wouldn't even say they're safe, because you're going way too fast. You use way too much fuel. And if you have a problem, well, then you're stuck because you don't know where you are. You're stuck at the next exit with whatever you have to deal with. Whereas when you are doing back roads, you don't necessarily have that experience. Plus, you get to see places like this. I mean, this is not a background. This is actually, one of the beaches, these white sand beaches all along the Gulf in Florida. And I have Destin to look forward to, and all the beaches on through over to Tallahassee, and then down the west coast of Florida towards Sarasota. So that's the plan. And it's been really great. This has been a great trip. And what I've really been happy about, even with the mechanical, I've been happy about I've had very few navigation problems. When I first started traveling, I would get so turned around and I get angry and I get frustrated. And these days I've done it enough now where I can navigate on the fly and I can actually do a pretty good job and connect up where I need to connect up. And so I don't have all this angst regarding back roads and whether or not I should do it that way. And as I said, I don't think traveling on the interstates is particularly enjoyable anyway. So beautiful sun. I keep coming back and forth between the sun and not being in the sun, but it's a beautiful day. It's gorgeous here in Florida. But the podcast is about this process of having a problem on the road and feeling the emotion, gaining some perspective on what you need to do, and then proceeding to do the most important things, or the first things first, whatever those things are. Sometimes it's the easiest thing that you need to do to get your problem solved. And then having the patience to allow people to help you and to help them. One of the great experiences I had, and I would have counted this particular moment, in the first part of this year, last part of last year, actually, I got stuck at Grand Canyon for 2 weeks because of a mechanical. And usually with a vehicle this old, this is almost a 25-year-old vehicle, 734 diesel. It's hard to find parts. So regardless of where you are, you can be in a major city, you can be at the Grand Canyon, you're still going to have issues finding parts. And this particular situation with the alternator, well, we had to figure out where to get an alternator and to get the right set of alternators, because I replaced two. It has two alternators. It has one on the bottom and one on the top. And the bottom one runs the house batteries. That's all explained in the audio podcast. And the top one runs basically the engine. One will take over for the other in the event that one fails, but it doesn't last long. It puts a lot of pressure on one or the other alternators that doesn't fail. So when you replace one, you really have to check the other. And one of the things that we learned from testing was they were like, we don't think this other alternator is doing anything. So I replaced, first I replaced the top alternator. The guy that took care of me, Zach, got me another alternator which is supposed to work in tandem with that one, and I replaced that one someplace further down the road on the way over here. I don't even remember where. So there's been a lot of great sublime experiences in travel, and the 2 weeks in the Grand Canyon was really sublime. That was an amazing experience. This time it wasn't exactly the Grand Canyon, but Zach was like, I got to go to the junkyard. So he goes, you want to go with me? I go, absolutely. He was looking for a hood for, I don't know what it was, a 2004 Ram pickup. And we went to the junkyard and we pulled a hood off of an existing, dead Ram. And we bought it for like $100. And then we get out to the parking lot and he goes, let's just put this on now, because I don't want to haul this all the way over to the shop. So we sat there and put the hood on, the new hood, or the old new hood on the Ram. It was a great experience. If you go into a situation where you have a problem traveling and you're angry and frustrated and mad, and you're going to make your problem somebody else's problem, you're going to miss having a great experience, as I did with these guys, just getting to know these guys. And I credited both Zach Xander, I think his last name is Xander Automotive, and then AutoWorks, OTTO AutoWorks in Corpus, Steve. And Steve said, I can't, when I initially went in and saw Steve, and Steve was like, I can't do anything today because I'm too busy. I'll give you to Zach, and Zach will hook you up. And he did, and it was great. And I got to stay on the lot, and there's a whole bunch of stories in there about that experience in the audio podcast. The lesson is you cannot freak out. And what does that mean? It means you're going to have problems if you travel. And I don't care if you're traveling through airports. I don't care if you're on a boat. I don't care if it doesn't matter what you're doing. You're going to have setbacks in travels, and things are not going to work out the way we expect them to work out. And we have a choice when that happens. We can get mad and make it everybody else's problem, or we can just say, okay, I've got a problem here. And when it first happened to me, like the first alternator, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't understand what was going on. And the way I would handle these mechanical problems when I first started traveling was I would sit there and go, why is this happening now? As though there was some, greater force at work. Why here? Why am I here? Sitting out in an empty field someplace in Iowa, trying to figure out why am I here now? Well, there may not have been any reason for it now. I just expect that something's going to go wrong, and it's going to have to get straightened out. So that is what you do. You just deal with it, but you can't make it somebody else's problem. Often people get very frustrated and angry when they have problems and they make it somebody else's problem. It's not anybody's fault. It just happened. And you have to get it fixed, or you're not going to go anywhere, and you're essentially at the mercy. And I think part of it is we don't like to spend money. We get anxious spending money. And this is one of the things you have to be ready for if you're going to travel. Stuff's going to cost you money. I'm aware that people, if they don't get travel insurance when they fly somewhere and the airline bumps them, they got to eat that ticket. So that's an example of having problems that are really no one's fault. They just happen, and there's nothing you can do about it. So that's all in the audio podcast, which I, again, will put a link in the description box of this video here on the beach at Navarre Beach in Florida, and then it's on back over to 98, and then out and down to Destin, and then across to Tallahassee, and finally down along the western coast of Florida to Sarasota or Bradenton, wherever we end up. And thanks for being patient with me with the sound. Again, it is spring break, and so there are tons of people here. Let me just, there's going to be a lot of wind and noise, but I want to show everybody the surroundings here. This is this little highway 399 or whatever the bridge is right here that you can see. There's the wind. Sorry, that's up there, and then we're a bunch of guys over here playing volleyball. But again, the thing about spring break, and I've been here in February and I've been here in December, there's nobody here. I've also been in Florida in the summer, there's nobody here. And so it's great. But when you come here in season like this, and this is just the beginning of the peak of the season, March, April is really where it's at in Florida. Guess what? You're going to see a lot of people, and you're going to hear a lot of cars, and it's going to be noisy in the microphone. I have the headphones on because I'm trying to stay out of the wind. So I've got this whole thing with the sun, and I've got this whole thing with the wind that I'm dealing with. Anyway, I am having a really good trip. It seems like every trip there's some kind of mechanical. You hope it's not catastrophic. That's really what you have to deal with. And it makes me think, okay, so what's ahead? What are we going to do? Are we going to keep this thing and put a lot of money into it to get, the engine overhauled and to get the rust stuff dealt with? Or do I get another rig, and what do I get? Most of the people that I know that travel pretty extensively and they need heavy-duty vehicles to travel extensively, we rule out RVs because there's too many systems that can go wrong. We're back to having a problem on the road. Well, refrigerators, stoves, things like that, they just break down, whereas a more heavier duty truck of some kind, a bus, a former ambulance, a panel truck, whatever the heavy duty exists in your world, that is something that I'd be looking at, trying to figure out what I'm going to do with this. When these trucks get really old, that's when it becomes almost impossible to find parts. And it kills me because I love this vehicle. This thing, Unit 8, Mobile Podcast Command Unit 8, has been plying the roads of this nation, back roads, for a long time. For at least 10 years, it has been plying the roads of our nation. And it has been a tremendous vehicle. Yeah. Anyway, I guess I'm pretty much done. So this is what I'm doing, and thanks for listening. Bye-bye.